Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a Chicago Bulls video for you guys. Unfortunately, they are 5-11 since the All-Star break. That is just unbelievably terrible. There are only 3 teams in the entire NBA who have less wins in that span. The Los Angeles Lakers, who have turned into an absolute dumpster pile with literally, I think if the Lakers lose tonight, they are out of the playoffs. That is crazy. The Oklahoma City Thunder, who are very clearly rebuilding. The Portland Trail Blazers, who are also very, 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 very clearly trying to tank this season away. So Chicago, literally 5-11 since the All-Star break. The good news is this. As of right now, Chicago is the number 5 seed. I think they are 3 games or so behind Boston to get into that number 4 spot. Unfortunately, they are tied with the Toronto Raptors right now for that 5-6 seed, but Chicago does have the tiebreaker. What I think really sucks about this more so is the way the Bulls look. Because if I take a look at the Eastern Conference and I look at, Philadelphia, who have Harden, they're going to choke. You've got Milwaukee, who's, I think, probably the most rounded team in the East. You have Boston, who's really talented, but it looks like Robert Williams might not be coming back this season. And if you don't have Robert Williams, that's a huge, huge blow. Probably the most underrated player in all of basketball. And then you have, Miami, who looks terrible right now. Toronto's, kind of a really solid basketball team, but they're a little weak at that bench position. So kind of the point being, every team in the Eastern Conference right now has a glaring flaw, in my opinion. So no matter what seed Chicago finishes as, I think they'll be okay. I do think that they'll be able to get past the first round, as crazy as it may seem. Getting Lonzo Ball back would be absolutely huge. If they don't get Lonzo back, first round exit, even more likely. But I'm not giving up hope with this Bulls team. The bad news is they're just sucking, dude. And even games like last night where they lose to the New York Knicks, which, by the way, if you guys are new here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for daily NBA videos. The Bulls defense this whole year has been, a very obvious issue, particularly down in the paint. We'll use last night's game against the Knicks kind of as an example here, but I think it's important to remember, not only has Chicago not really been healthy all season, but this is also year number 1, pretty much. This is not... The Bulls weren't supposed to be this good this season. It was more of going to be a long process. But with all of these injuries, they've sustained some crazy injuries all season, especially, Lonzo being out pretty much the whole year. They're going to make tweaks in the offseason. They'll make the proper tweaks. You're looking at a top 10 offense, when you're healthy. Right now, they're currently ranked number 11th, so they might get back into that top 10 by the time playoffs come around. But we're looking at the 21st best defense in the NBA, which is obviously not a very pretty stat. So they're going to make moves in the offseason. I would hope. Who knows what those moves might be? I would imagine Kobe White might get moved. I do have some issues with the rotations, though, and honestly kind of like Billy Donovan at this current point in time. So last night, Bulls lose to a red-hot New York Knicks team on the road. I hate losing to the Knicks. Knicks are definitely one of those teams in the Eastern Conference that, especially Bulls fans, you don't want to lose to the Knicks. But there's some flaws with the lineup. Number 1, it's with DeMar DeRozan, who actually went 37, 6, and 7 last night. DeMar, a lot of the times he gets to the free throw line, a lot of these calls aren't going to be called as much in the postseason. So that's an immediate concern. They call him DeMar DeRozan in the playoffs. My thing is, he gets so ISO heavy that players stop moving when he has the ball. So let's say DeMar DeRozan has ISO, or the ball and goes into ISO. The issue is DeMar DeRozan is such a great basketball player, and he has carried the Bulls back into a lot of games, and he has secured the win for a lot of these Bulls games. The issue is it's not sustainable. So yeah, all the DeMar DeRozan clutch, final buzzer beaters were fun a couple of months ago, but that's what they've been just still trying to do the entire basketball season. I would love to see Zach LaVine become a little bit more assertive out on the basketball court. But what happens is DeMar DeRozan will get the ball. He'll not be passing it, and players are just, they're just stuck wherever they are. They're just, on the perimeter usually. And when DeMar, he's a phenomenal passer. We saw this especially the last 2 seasons in San Antonio, but you've seen glimpses. You've seen it all season this year. He's a phenomenal passer. But the issue is, I see this happen all the time at late into games, is he'll hold the ball for the entire shot clock trying to either get a foul called or try and pick a spot. And when it isn't working, there's only a couple seconds left on the shot clock. That's when he dishes it out. And it's like, that's just not an efficient way to run an offense. And we're not utilizing players' talents in that situation. So that's when I want guys like Zach LaVine to be a little bit more assertive as far as ball handling goes, especially in the fourth quarter, where it's like, no, like, we're going to run the offense. We're going to try and get the best look possible. Nikola Vucevic is one of those players that is always out on the perimeter late in games, and it just doesn't really make much sense, because a lot of the times Billy Donovan loves going with like a 4-guard lineup, and you'll have, Vucevic out there. But if Vucevic is out by the three-pointer, it's like, what are you really doing? You're our center, man. I don't want to rag on Vucevic too much, but he does get kind of mouse in the house all game as far as defensively goes. And then, it's stuff like that that's annoying. But when he does hit those threes, it's really nice. But then you'll have nights like last night where he'll just go 0-1 from downtown, but there were so many more possessions than one where you were just outside the three-point line for whatever damn reason. This might be more of a Billy Donovan thing. Who really knows? This is definitely a Billy Donovan thing. Last night, Tristan Thompson saw 14 minutes. Patrick Williams, for some reason, only saw 13 minutes, which makes zero sense. But Derrick Jones Jr. doesn't play anymore. I really don't understand it. And like I said, going back to Billy Donovan loves running 4-guard lineups. He absolutely loves it. The Bulls are a small team regardless of if they have 4 guards out there or not. And so having a guy like Derrick Jones Jr. who can guard a lot of different players, he can guard multiple positions, he can play multiple positions, and he's freaky athletic, and his effort is always there. It's just like, I honestly cannot comprehend why he isn't playing basketball. Then you'll have guys like Kobe White. Kobe White's pretty streaky, but then last night when you really need bench points because you only have, 11 total bench points, you have Kobe White go 2-9 from the field, 0-5 from downtown, get 0 assists, and score 6 points. So it just isn't really pretty right now in Chicago, but I have a feeling things will change. Need Caruso, Patrick Williams to kind of get back into the flow of things. Need these guys to get back into the flow of playing with them as well. So we'll see with Chicago, because things aren't really looking great, but I'm remaining hopeful for them. So that's it for today. If you guys enjoy Bulls content and NBA content, hit that subscribe button. As always, hit the like button and drop a comment down below on the Chicago Bulls.